What is up, YouTube? It is Psychedelic Scizor, and I am joined by a guest. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, it's Ian.
And we are kind of just going to be talking about a general overview of the NPL Tryout tournament drafts, at least our pool, Pool C. Who knows if I'm going to do the rest of them. We'll kind of see how this one goes, and I'll go from there. But I figured this would be fun to do. Ian's always pumping out the content a lot more reliably than I am, so you should totally check him out. And we're just going to start down the list, kind of just talk about the teams. Not really a power ranking or anything, just giving our thoughts on the teams and going from there.
Yeah, should be a blast.
All right. I guess we'll start with Nacho's team, the first one up. So my initial thoughts, kind of semi-standard. Coco Metacham core is obviously pretty good because terrain boosted Thunder Punch lets it break so many more things than. Not that it needs any more breaking power than it already has, but we're still giving it some anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just some nice bulk to back it up with the Heatran Tangrowth Jellicent core. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, Nosh is a good friend of mine, so I helped him plan a little bit of this out. I mean, the top of Coco was like a mad snipe, but did I really expect that to drop to me? Not really. Megamedi Coco is like a very. It seems to be a lot more popular recently. Like I've only been seeing it the last 5 months or so. It's interesting. Ditto, surprise factor there always, of course. I know he's a big Sandslash fan. I don't think that anyone would have taken Sandslash if he didn't, if I'm being honest. Tyrantrum seems like kind of a meh dragon on this team, but he got a lot of power early on. And yeah, the Firewater Grass, like that's definitely a big highlight of the team. Heatran, Tangrowth, Jellicent, very power, stupid bulky. Yeah.
I guess I've only got kind of one good thing to add, and then kind of two nitpicks on this. I do kind of want to add that Tyrantrum is kind of a meh dragon, but I feel like you almost more draft it for the rock typing as far as just spamming head smash because that just absolutely claims kills. And I kind of like at first that this team has some webs abusers with Mega Metacham and Tyrantrum, being so strong. But then you realize his web setter is Ariados, and I feel like this team would be so much better with almost any other sticky webber. Yeah.
Something like Slurpuff would be decent here.
Yeah, just about any other one. I mean, at least it's better that he got them, rather than not having them at all. But he got. I still like Ariados, but I acknowledge that it's not the best. And this may just be my playstyle kind of thing because I really like Volturn, but I don't think he has any kind of momentum outside of Tapu Koko, which, don't get me wrong, Tapu Koko is amazing at getting momentum, but, that may force it into that role instead of letting Tapu Koko be free to do other things. But he's still got a lot of solid pieces on this team, and he's just maybe going to have to lean on predictions a little bit more to get stuff in rather than just having free, pivoting. And yeah, Sandslash is always a meh pick, but you know what? It's there. It'll do something 1 or 2 weeks, but it's a mediocre mon.
Yeah, I as much as Ariados is a bad web setter, he's got a ground of poison, which helps.
That's true. You just wish you had a better of each of those roles, but at least he covered them, which is better than just not covering them.
True, and he already had Arrow as a rock type, so
yeah, that was another thing.
I don't know. There weren't too many good dragons left that deep in the draft, but I just feel like he could have taken it earlier. But again, he had the wheel, so at the same time, it's so hard to judge that sort of stuff when you've got to wait, like 32 picks or something to come back to you?
I know about that. I was the other wheel.
Oh, yeah, of course. Forgot about that.
Although I did like my draft, but we'll get to that eventually. Yeah, so anything else to add there, or?
No, I think that's about it.
Yep, we can't spend forever on these teams or we'll be here forever.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on next to Stibe. Looking over his team here. Um, I actually forgot to look this one over, but
Mhm.
does have a lot of speed on this team. I do like that. Um, and then just Celesteela just to just sit there and just be fat. Um, but I don't know. This is I don't see a lot of actual good defensive mons. He's got Celesteela, and then it goes all the way down to stuff like Swampert being the exception. It's then like Celesteela and like Granbull and Fortress and Golbat, which are, I mean, they're all right, but I feel like because he doesn't have a lot of high tier, or at least even hardly mid tier defense, it might force Celesteela into defensive a decent amount, which is not necessarily a horrible thing because he's got a lot of offense on the team, so it's not like he's lacking it, but still, you know, you want to keep it as
Yeah,
free as possible.
I agree. This is a very spikes heavy team as well. He's got what triple T spike setters?
Let's see. Yeah, Greninja,
Nihilego,
Nihilego,
Greninja,
and
and
Fortress.
Fortress. Yeah,
I do love me
and
some spikes though.
I guess Trapinch is sitting there like it's gonna trap fire types. Like first Celesteela, that's kind of the role that I would see Trapinch play on this team if it comes at all. But it has to because fire types like run through this team because the resists like don't have recovery except for Latios.
Yeah, Celesteela leans super hard on Swampert to take on fire types and electric types, which it's a good mon, but it does not have recovery, so it's really easy to wear that thing down. And if you bring like a fire type and an electric type and you just kind of overload Swampert as far as what it can check, that could be somewhat of an issue.
Mm-hmm. It seems pretty balanced overall.
But a good team. These were kind of some nitpicks, but I definitely like
Yeah,
a lot of the offensive options. I think Nihilego is super underrated. I think it's a great mon.
there's a massive speed gap, like an absolutely huge speed gap between Nihilego and Breloom
Oh shit.
in terms of offensive speed, and it's like Manectric, Greninja, Latios, Nihilego. So it's like super fast, but then it just drops off a cliff.
Yeah, that's not good. Oh, well, actually, there's technically Golbat in there because surprisingly it has base 90
Yeah,
speed.
it's 90. I don't know if I'd call Golbat offensive.
But yes, you're never going to run max speed Golbat. I mean,
Yeah,
hey, he could prove us wrong. Who knows? But
it's an interesting team.
yeah, and overall, I think it does support Celesteela pretty well. Like, I was complaining about its interaction with Celesteela in a way, but having, that hazard stack with Celesteela, like, hazard stack plus Leech Seed, it's just going to completely wear teams down for Mons like Greninja to clean up late and stuff like that, which I
Yeah,
do
it's
like.
definitely. Uh, now that I'm looking at it, it's actually relatively specially biased as well.
That is true. It leans on Breloom a little bit for the physical offense, which is not a good thing because Breloom is very matchup dependent. But
I don't know. It's not the worst team I've ever seen.
oh, definitely not. I still like a lot of what it's going for. If we can pull off the hazard stack offense roll really well, then I could definitely see this doing stuff.
For sure.
Yep. Anything else
Yeah.
to add?
Actually, kind of a decent cleric. Actually, like I'm not gonna bash Granbull as much as I'd like to because I think that an amazing fairy on this team would just be like the scariest thing ever. Fairy Dragon Steel wise, but like Granbull's a really good supportive mon, so I think it fits well.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, I guess we're moving on again to Spectrum. And initially, when this draft first started, I thought this draft was going to be horrible because he took third overall Blacephalon, which is no. Round one Blacephalon is no, honestly, but
Oh man,
he actually recovered this draft extremely well because of his late round picks. A lot of them were really good. Like Mega Mawile round 2 is good. I think that's still kind of fair. It can go round 1, but it's not that surprising to see it round 2 necessarily. Komo does stuff. And then like some of the later round picks, like Rabombi, I absolutely love Rabombi. Anyone who watches my channel knows that. And stuff like Staraptor, late tier. What am I talking about? Late round, breaker. But I don't know, man. This is there's a little bit of questionable picks. I think having Selgor and Rabombi on the same team is a little awkward as far as having two fast bugs. Like you're not going to want to bring both in the same week unless your opponent is like absurdly bug weak for some reason. And this team really doesn't like rocks, and it doesn't have the best removal options because Cryo and Staraptor are weak to rocks. Rotomo is a good defogger, but it's only one Mon, and then Skuntank is, I guess it's a Mon that can defog, but I'm not a huge fan of it.
Rabombi too. Like there's a ton of removal on the team. It's just not
Yeah, a lot of them
helpful.
aren't the most ideal. Like Rabombi does
Yeah,
not want to run defog, especially when a lot of times it wants to set up webs or it wants to quiver dance and have as much coverage as possible.
I get the feeling Cryogon will come as a spinner relatively often. Just well, I don't know. Maybe a Selgor like stands out to me as again spike stack plus web stack on this team. Like there's every single hazard, but it that's a big point, right? Is that it's so rocks weak.
Yeah, and also leaning on Mega Mawile to take hits might not be the best thing because I think that is his only fairy resist outside of Blacephalon, which kind of doesn't really resist anything because of its bulk.
Yeah, that's true actually. And all of the bulk on this team, besides getting like Pain Split and like Roost, Rabombi, and Staraptor, there's very little recovery on this team
And again,
in
Cryo's
terms of
got
like eating
recovery, but
hits.
it's a cryogonal,
Yeah, it's kind of just dying to any fighting or physical steel hit.
pretty much. Although I do like Uxie into Mega Mawile. Uxie is like the most reliable stealth rocker out there and one of the
Mm-hmm.
most reliable U-turners out there. Just can switch into anything U-turn and get something in. So I do like that. That said, round 4 Uxie is really early.
It'd be nice to see another Trick Room abuser too, because Uxie is like a very standard Trick Room setter in OU, and Mega Mama is obviously a very standard abuser. But that's like the only thing that stands out to me as a Trick Room abuser on this team. Like, there's a lot of fast offense after that. I don't know.
Yeah,
That sort of stands out to me.
yeah, this team's going to have to be played pretty offensively to be successful.
Yeah, I'd agree. Again, not horrible though. I mean, it's
Yeah,
definitely a
definitely
solid
not. I
round
mean,
four.
reliable hazards and some good breakers, but not the best removal and pretty rock weak. But you know, all right, that is you're up next.
Oh boy.
Okay, as you saw in the chat, I was really drooling over your first 3 picks on the same team. Honestly, Kieran Black, Mega Gallade, and Jirachi are all round 1 pick. Well, I don't like Jirachi round 1, but it's commonly a round 1 pick. So basically, 3 round 1 picks on the same team is already a great start, especially when you consider that Jirachi is specifically a good pivot for the previous 2. And also, Nidoqueen is a fantastic mon. I love it. But I don't exactly like that. And I do like the webs. I'll finish with the positives. I do like the webs, and I like a lot of the mons on here overall. But you don't really have that much of a defensive backbone. Your only really sturdy defensive mon is like Umbreon, and I guess Vileplume. But like, I don't know. It's kind of haphazard with the defense. Like there are defensive mons there, but and I may be wrong, but I'm kind of wondering how they're all gonna fit together.
That's a very good point. I got really greedy early on with the big picks, and lots of solid bulk sort of went past me. I also got a little bit greedy on the Primarina, which I'm glad I did because I think it fits really well with the Web's offense
Even
strat.
on
But
this team, I think it does. But continue.
and I sniped Kraken on that like hardcore as
Oh yeah, I
well.
remember
So
that.
again, I don't regret it whatsoever. But I was looking at a melodic as my water, and I sort of was like, oh well, I still need a fairy anyways. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. My removal is also like garbage. It's only Tornadus.
Oh, I just now
Like
realized that.
that's it.
Yeah, Kurum's gonna hate that.
Yeah. Luckily, it's only Kirim and like Galvantula and okay, no, so it's not only Kirim.
I mean, Galvantula, you're not gonna need to have health, honestly. So I do like the
so
team overall,
we'll
though.
see. It's it's well rounded. I've got my grounded poison. Well, I've double grounded poison, so I don't actually have like a really good ground. I have no ground resists on the team. That's fun. Yeah.
You got the
Okay.
Tornadus again filling that defensive role.
Glad I'm looking at this now. Munchlax can eat special hits for days, luckily, but
This is true. I got like 5-0'd by a Munchlax in CPC.
like the last 4 picks actually form a reasonable defensive core ish.
Yeah, it just
It's
looks a little janky on the surface.
it's definitely a very low budget defensive core, and again, I didn't really have like I got so greedy. Like what is that? The first 3, 6, the first 7 picks are all over all 10 points and above. Like I just blew my whole budget super early. I was planning on only doing 9 Mons, and then I just sort of extended it a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, and I do like though, but for a team that doesn't function as amazingly defensively, I think you actually work fairly well with that because of the number of good pivots you have. Just Jirachi and Umbreon are able to both pivot really well. Like I kind of, when I've used Umbreon, almost every set had baton pass so that you couldn't take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just being able to scare stuff out, I think you'll be able to keep the momentum, at least I think, and games shouldn't last that long. You have an absurd amount of breaking power there that I
Yeah.
don't think you should. I think your opponent's walls are going to fall before yours do, so it might not be an issue. But
Let's hope.
yeah, I mean we'll see. Yeah, not a bad team. I do like it. I mean those first 3 picks just form such an amazing core. It's hard to deal with. That's a strength that can make up for a lot of flaws on the team.
For sure. Yeah. We'll see how it works in practice, I guess, honestly. Like I've used most of these before.
Yeah,
Less than half the team before. Okay, so maybe I'm not as comfortable with this as I thought.
yeah. I mean, I like it minus the defog situation, but at least
God.
Tornadus gets off a guaranteed defog if you really need it to.
True.
Yep. All right. I guess we'll move on then, unless you have anything else to add.
Nope. That's pretty much it.
All right, moving on to the Lux. This team has a lot of mons that I specifically really like. I have been a fan of Scolipede since my first ever draft league, and might we add Speed Pass is legal here for some reason. So that's just factor that in when looking at everything else on the team. But Muse Scolipede, I feel like I've seen that core an okay amount of times. Like I feel like this is definitely not the first time I've seen it, and it's pretty good. Because Scolipede definitely deals with dark types pretty well with Mega Horn and that. And I'm just personally really a fan of Crocodile and Metagross just as mons. They come in, they eat a hit, they knock something out in their turn. And I've not seen Dragonite used in a long time, honestly. I don't know why. Other than that, it gets kind of really cheap really late, except for like the Florges pick, but then Electabuzz, Omastar, Swirlix. Like Swirlix is not coming to a serious game. Electabuzz is a very mediocre electric type, and okay, I do like Omastar too, but it's another one that's kind of hard to bring consistently. What do you think?
It sort of fits the trend that we've been seeing of like Hazard Stack, because this team again it has webs, it's got double spikes and T-spike setters, triple rockers. Quadruple rockers. Sorry, I forgot about
Yeah,
Mew.
I mean, I guess it's got webs, but like,
Yeah.
does
Okay.
it really?
You can. It's on the roster. You can say it.
I guess so.
I don't know. Double psychics, like kind of but the crocodile makes up for that. Um, enough, I guess. I don't know. Floor just feels like the core of the defensive backbone here, and it's going to be relied on a lot to pass wishes
To heal its teammates.
into everything essentially, because it feels like Mew is the only thing that has reliable recovery, and Dragonite, I guess, if you count that. But who runs Roost Dragonite really?
You'd be surprised. I don't know if I'm even saying that is a good thing or a bad thing, but it's there. Yeah, and Mega Blastoise is another mon that I have mixed feelings about, because on paper it is so great, because it's got good bulk, good special attack, amazing coverage, and good ability to back it up, but like, in my experience using it, it kind of wants investment everywhere, and, you know, it can feel underwhelming at times if you're leaning on it a little too hard, which I hope he doesn't, but he may, because what is his other removal? Gorgeous
Mew
and Mew.
and Dragonite, technically, I guess, and Omastar, which we just
Omastar
said
does not
probably
get
aren't going to do a
removal.
lot. Yeah, it does. It gets Rapid Spin.
No, it doesn't. I've used it a lot. It does not. I can guarantee you Omastar does not get Rapid Spin.
Seriously? Oh my god. Worthless. Alright. Badmon.
Yeah, it does not get Rapid Spin. I would draft it like every draft if it did. I love Omastar personally, just not, you know, I at least acknowledge that it's not a world beater kind of mon. But
I blame Kabutops for giving me the idea that Omastar got Rapid Spin.
And another thing, it doesn't have a lot of immediate breaking power. It's got a lot of mons that can set up and be threatening, but like, I don't know, Mega Blastoise is the only mon that I'd really call a legitimate breaker on this team.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. Everything else does require a little bit of setup. Luckily, he can do that.
That's true, but you know, Taunt is a move.
Yeah, it's fast. It's fast setup though. So, well, for the most part, it's fast setup, and I could see that coming off.
I mean, when there's a Scolipede with legal speed pass, there's a way.
Oh, I'm 100% scared shitless of speed passing to Mew.
I realized that it was legal too late. I should have picked it up, but
Ninjask is still sitting there, I'm pretty sure.
I also considered that, not gonna lie. Like,
too bad we don't
did.
Get,
Zeden talked me out of it, though. So
3 points. Oh, I blame Zeden then.
Yeah, that's what I typically do whenever anything goes bad. And on that note, unless you have anything else to add, I guess we'll move on.
No, I don't. Yeah, we can move on.
Okay. If you take anything away from this video, whatever is wrong, it's Zeden's fault.
Yep, absolutely. Every time.
Okay. And so moving on to Kraken's team, got the Mega Pinsir Sand team. That's like looking like an OU team, honestly, the first part of it. Like OU from Oras. I remember that was a core.
I've seen it a lot in draft recently. I feel like Mega Pinsir Excadrill reminds me of Axel's team in red.
Yeah, I have not actually seen Excadrill drafted nearly as much, especially at 17 points. I'll tell you what, you will never see me draft Excadrill at 17 points. That is too expensive.
Well,
that's just my opinion, but you know, I'm not exactly a huge fan of that expensive an Excadrill.
Oh, holy crap. Yeah, I was thinking, 17 points with a 20-point cap, not horrible, but 17 points with an 18-point cap is, like, way too high.
Yeah, but, so looking at this team, there's a coffee table at the bottom of it.
OG.
It's probably going to be about as useful as a coffee table, honestly. I know people vouch for Avalugg. I'm still not a believer. I mean, prove me wrong. I would absolutely love to see it, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I've yet to actually see it do something. But
I've seen it do things, and I still don't like it.
Okay, so besides the coffee table, though, I do like this overall. I mean, I was kind of sniped to Mega Pinsir because I was initially going to go for that. Now, when we get to my draft, I'm actually glad that I didn't, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Mm-hmm. But Got a lot of strong mons, honestly. Tyranitar and Emboar, hard to switch into. Um, the pivoting could be a little better, but it's serviceable. Rotom and Whimsicott, they can get the job done. And then, well, he lacks a really solid defensive core, like as far as a lot of mons. He at least acknowledged that Whimsicott is not a bulky grass type, and he got Ferrothorn, and then Alomomola eats literally everything that isn't super effective. So I do like that.
I'd love to see a real fire resist, like a special fire resist to me, just sort of like doesn't exist.
That is true. That's either like some kind of Assault Vest Emboar or Latias. What are we talking about?
Latios and T-Tar, kind of?
T-Tar's got great Spit F in the sand. What are you talking about? This is definitely a fire resist, but Will-O-Wisp, but...
Yeah, or, any random HP fighting as well.
Okay, Tyranitar eats HP fightings. I've run some calcs with that before. You don't just throw HP fighting on a mon and you're good for Tyranitar. It doesn't work that way. Tyranitar is a thick, thick dinosaur.
Well, I don't know.
Alright, but arguments aside, like I said, it's kind of weird defensively, but I mean, the more I look at it though, Alomomola, it leans pretty heavy on it, but it's only got 2 weaknesses, and I feel like Grass and Electric are covered fairly well by this team.
That's a fair point, yeah. Special offense maybe is like mono Latios and half Whimsicott.
Yeah, and Latios does not like being an offensive monolot. I mean, it can do it, not nearly as well as Latios.
I do get the feeling that we're kind of going to see Pinsir and Excadrill walled by some teams. Not all of them, just because of how good they are at breaking. But it feels like people can just run a bunch of physical walls against this team and sort of just win.
Yeah, kind of, although I don't think we want to sleep, super hard on how strong Mega Pinsir is. But his hazard removal is actually decent, but it doesn't like hazard stacking because it's all defog. Besides Excadrill,
Yep.
Got Latias, Whimsicott, and Rotom, which they're all fine. None of them are excellent. I'd say Latias is the best of all of them, but they definitely get the job done. It just kind of hard to spike stack with Ferrothorn when you don't have spin, but that is kind of a common problem because there's not a lot of spinners and there's not even less good ones.
No, he's got Avalugg.
Never mind, he's got the coffee table.
Yep.
Yeah, and I do like Ursaring too. As 3-point mon, that mon is
absolutely
scary.
Yeah, great budget pick for a normal type for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's a scary mon, and we also shouldn't sleep too much on, we kind of just glossed over Excadrill Tyranitar, but it's a common core for a reason. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, the fighting resists are there for it, so it can definitely work well.
Yeah, the fighting resists and the water resists, because water, like I said, Alomomola, you have to hit it super effectively to kill it, and it's super effective, typings they're handled very well by this team.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty well rounded. It's the first team we've seen without T-Spikes, which is interesting. Because this is what,
really?
7? So no, I was 4th. This is 6th. So we've seen 5 straight teams with T-Spikes, and then this team doesn't have it.
Damn, you're right. Every team has T-Spikes at this point. What the hell? Huh.
But he's got a grounded poison and muck, so it's not like he's going to lose to T-Spikes necessarily.
But his grounded poison type is muck. It doesn't get knockoff either. It doesn't get it unless it's a Alolan form.
Oh, God. Why is it so bad in regular?
There's a reason that it fell to PU.
Is it not in ZU?
Actually, never mind. It is in ZU.
Alright then. That's fun.
Also, did you, as an American, just call it ZU?
I'm Canadian.
Oh. Never mind. I didn't know they said Z up there. I kind of just assumed that was just a British thing.
Yeah, no, we do.
Huh. Well,
there you go. Stupid. Today I learned.
I'm just kidding. I learned something today. All right. Do we have anything else to add there?
Nope. I think we covered it all.
Okay. Moving on to King Clyde. First off, this definitely starts out with a core I've seen a ton. Lando T, Megazard X.
Very popular.
But I mean, just like the last one, it's there for a reason. It's because it's good. And then, I actually like this team, even though it's only, is it 10 months?
10.
Yeah, 10 months. Yeah, I definitely like it. It's got a lot of power on it. Lando T, Zard, Sylveon for immediate braking. Then Serp, is a late game cleaner. But it doesn't really have very good hazard removal for Zardex. I mean, I guess I should put it this way. It's got some reliable hazard removal in the sense of Superior and Lando T. I think, and especially from using Lando T, I think it's a good defogger. I actually really think it's a good defogger. But the issue is you're going to be using Lando as your defogger.
Yeah, not really. Like, when it's your first pick, you kind of don't want to have that going on necessarily.
I made that mistake in CPC. I ran defog way too many times.
There's 5 defoggers on this team, so it's not like it's completely out of capability. It's just some of them are bad.
I forgot Silvally was there, but yeah, Silvally's sometimes hard to bring to a matchup because even with the custom typing, it's just mediocre base stats.
There are some typings that just like aren't viable either. So it sort of fits on teams, but most of the time, like I think especially with the team that he drafted, most of the time you're going to find that Silvally would want to be a type that you already have covered. So what's the point?
Yeah, and you've already got some pivots on the team in Lando T and Jolteon, and you could kind of say Sylveon with Baton Pass, to an extent. Also, where was I going to go with this? Yeah, the speed is also a little weird on the team. Or, well, I guess there's an Archeops in the middle, and Superior is the same thing. So never mind, ignore that point. I thought there was a big speed gap for some reason, but
I like the parting shot support into Lando Zardex. Like, you can definitely see that there's going to be a lot of setup opportunities, I think, for the team.
Yeah, I definitely like that. And, Sylveon is... Normally it's looked down on, for somewhat of a good reason, for being almost just mono-walled by steel types. A lot of steel types just can handle it no problem. But this team loves having steel types in because that's free switch-ins for Lando and Zard.
Yeah.
And then
because Superior can just boost on them too, right? It's not like it's a huge deal for Serp.
Yeah, it depends on the steel type, but yeah, this team does not mind steel types at all, honestly. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with this team. I don't know. For some reason, I'm kind of just unimpressed with it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it just seems like sort of good picks, but not something that stands out as being absolutely fantastic.
It's just meh. There's not a gaping flaw. It's just I don't see an amazing strength either. It's just kind of... It's there.
It's well-rounded. Yeah.
It's there.
I've seen Clyde battle. I think he can use this team really well, actually. I think he's probably going to have a lot of success with it.
All right. Yeah. No other hazards besides rocks, though.
Yeah, so we find another team that doesn't have T-spikes. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, no other kind of hazard at all, though. At least Kraken had spikes with Ferrothorn.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like teams that don't have the spike option. I love me some spikes.
It's like... Is Archeops really coming into games? Probably not. So it's like Registeel Lando. And do you want your rocker to be Lando? Not really. You'd rather have it be Registeel. So you're bringing Registeel to a lot of games, most likely.
And you can kind of take advantage of Registeel too.
Yeah, I would I really feel like the first 6 mons on this team, is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the first 6 mons on this team are probably just going to come every game.
Yeah. Now, I guess I should somewhat retract the statement. Registeel will not get taken advantage of if you prep with it and play with it really smart, but you can't play brainless with a Registeel and just be fine with it. It's easily taken advantage of. If you prep, it's got a lot of options to where it can, prevent getting taken advantage of, like stuff like T-Wave, different coverage moves, things like that. But you have to be smart about it, not just splash it on a team and, just hope things go all right. But if he plays well with that, I think that's going to make a big difference on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're probably set to move on. We've talked about it
definitely.
For a while.
We're about halfway through, and we're at over half an hour. Shit.
Wow.
Okay, I'm not gonna act like I'm that surprised, though, to be honest with you. But to keep it moving, Jacob is next. I don't like Feeney round 1 exactly, but I guess it's there.
It exists. It's on the team.
Yeah, this is initially thinking this is a pretty fat team. The Feeney, Mega Venusaur, Cresselia, Arcanine, those are all mons that are pretty hard to take down.
Yeah, this is... You're right. I didn't see it until now, but this is, like, very fat. Like, where's the offense? Just Raikou, Garchomp? And, like, Cobalion, I guess? Bisharp?
There's a random Leavanny there. I don't really feel like there's any obvious Webs abusers.
Yeah, I mean, really, Garchomp, Bisharp?
Bisharp, I guess, literally just put Webs up for the sake of hoping they remove them. But,
I mean, that's like the whole strat. That was the whole strat of my red team early on in the season.
Okay,
it didn't work. It did not work at all. Like, just nobody brings Webs against the Bisharp team. There's no point. Sorry, no one brings Defogs. Well, no one brings Web or Defog against
unless
Bisharp
you're
teams.
A man.
Okay,
sure. But shade throwing aside, yeah, the offense is pretty limited on this team, and it's gonna lean fairly hard on the defensive core, which that's not as good as leaning on your offensive core, because just sitting there taking hits with walls leaves you open to getting hacked, just because you're taking more hits, so you're more likely to get hacked. And that's kind of a prediction of mine.
It'd be nice if there was a water type with recovery on this team as well. Like, there's no Wish Pass into Finny, so it's just kind of... It's going to sit there, and then he's going to, like, double into Venusaur or Cresselia to get recovery, or Arcanine for recovery, and then back into Finny, I guess.
Oh, yeah, and for a defensive team that obviously doesn't like hazards, because all of them are grounded except for Crest.
Cresselia? Which also doesn't take advantage of the Misty Terrain, so enjoy Toxic on that.
Yeah, well, that and Feeney is the only hazard remover besides Claydol.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. Also, the rocks. The hazard game is horrible on this team. Honestly, it's got one defogger and one.
It's got 4 rockers.
Spinner. Not the best rockers either.
No, they aren't great, but there are 4 of them on the team and a web setter. Yeah, quality.
Garchomp, Cobalion, Bisharp, and Claydol. Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3 of them, I mean, they're your main offensive mons, and you're going to force one of them to run rocks every week, which I don't exactly like.
I'm not a huge fan of this team either. I'm not.
I mean,
really not.
Now the defensive core is going to be annoying as shit to prep for, but there's definitely flaws to it.
Are you just going to get stalled out every week then?
I mean, if there's going to be a team that's going to do it, this is the team to do it. But, like I said, that leaves you open to hacks.
And Hazard Stack.
Yeah, and Hazard Stack. At least not T-Spikes, because Mega Venusaur and, Misty Terrain, but still.
Oh, Very true.
Yep. I guess we'll keep
pretty basic. Pretty easy one. Yep. Easy one to cover, I think, there.
Yeah. Eddie's team, Megalop, always a threat. And Suicune in a very, let me rephrase what I was going to say. Megalop, always a threat to offensive teams because how fast it is and how strong it is. Suicune, always a threat to defensive teams because it can just set up in their face. So it's already a nice start as is.
Yeah, same with Togekiss.
Yeah.
I mean, this team
Speaking of
looks like
hacks,
it just beats Jacob's team, like the one that we were just talking about right now. Those three just like beat it right away. I think.
yeah. What answers Suicune on Jacob's team?
Like
Roar
Megavino
Venusaur. That's it.
just gets cocked by Togekiss. So
All
yeah,
right. But not
that's a
prepping
fun
for
matchup.
Eddie for that game.
Yeah, nope, nope.
Keep going on this. Uh, I like a lot of the mons here. Hippo is extremely fat on both sides. You just don't kill it.
Yeah, very
And
hard.
I mean, shocker, I know. I like Scizor.
Wow, who would have guessed?
Hey, not my favorite mon of all time. It's my second favorite.
Well,
I'll let you try and guess later what it is, or the people in the comments get interactive. Try and guess what it is.
oh, there you go. I'll leave it until the end then.
Subscriber interaction, something that does not exist on this channel. All right.
Question of the day.
Hey, don't judge me. I did ask a question of the day in my draft analysis. Shut up.
Oh, I still have to record that. Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, so besides procrastinating our problems for recording, yeah, I do like this team, but the speed is kind of just Megalop. I think it goes from Megalop all the way down to Celebi.
Yes, it does. Wow,
It's not good.
That's a big speed gap.
Yeah, that's really not good. Wow. And I mean, speed slightly mitigated by Scissor's Bullet Punch, but not really. You know, you don't want to lean on that.
Yeah, and you're looking at T-Wave spam from probably Togekiss, Celebi as well, and Rotom 2 to sort of get some speed control, which isn't the most reliable because Heal Bell just kind of beats that.
There's just kind of a random Rampardos sitting there.
Yeah, I feel like Rampardos and Herdier were both meme picks on this team.
Herdier at least has some,
really
explanation since, there's a Hippowdon there for sand, but, like, Rampardos just kind of sitting there, not really doing anything, Usually you want Trick Room or Webs or something, to at least give it some kind of usability, but it's kind of just sitting there.
Yeah, we'll see. It can kind of function as a breaker, reasonably, but maybe not on this team when you have things like SD Scizor sitting there, Megalop, Nasty Ball Togekiss.
And no spikes of any kind.
T-Spikes. No, wait,
Drapion,
what? Does it not
Drapion gets T-Spikes. Never mind,
it,
never mind. I forgot about that.
So we're back to a T-Spikes team.
But yeah, we're back to T-Spikes. Still no regular spikes, but better off than the last two teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what is his hazard removal? Oh, it's pretty good. Togekiss, Scizor,
Rotom. Yeah.
Not all mons that love it, but they all can do it.
Yep.
And shoutouts to Kyurem for being, underrated breaker. Got the same special attack as Kyurem Black.
Is it the same or higher?
It's the same special attack. Kyurem Black's attack is obviously way higher, but they're both 130 special attack.
No, Kyurem Black only has 120, so it lowers when it goes into KB form.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I thought it was 130. Well, learning all kinds of things this video.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else to add there?
Not really. To be honest, it's another well-rounded team. Like a lot of, I don't absolutely hate any of these drafts, and it's kind of fitting that for me again. Nothing. It feels like the one that we talked about earlier, where nothing just sort of stood out. It was like Clyde's draft to me.
Yeah, I mean, but that's another one where I'm not impressed by it, but I can't. I'm trying to figure out things to nitpick on it. It's not really any glaring weakness. It's kind of just it's a team. It's all right. It's got some good stuff going for it.
We'll see how it performs.
All right. Yeah. Moved on to D Train, I guess.
Sure.
Yep. So looking at this team, personally, I really like the Terrakion pick just because I'm a big fan of Terrakion. A lot of weeks you just put a choice band on it and claim kills. But I think that's all the physical breaking he has on his team. That's the
It
only other.
is.
That's really the only other
Bar,
physical attacker on his team
bar,
besides
bar
Snorlax and
Marowak.
Marowak. I mean,
Is
shoutouts to
there?
Marowak. It's also strong as hell, but it's slow and it's frail. So
He's got Necrozma gets Trick Room, right? Like, please tell me
I
Necrozma gets
am
Trick Room.
fairly certain it does.
Because this team looks like such a Trick Room team to me.
Yeah.
Yep, it does. But it's the only Trick Room setter on the team.
Which is, not great when you have to use your third round 15-point Mon as a Trick Room setter.
So that stands out to me as sort of a lack of speed then, and it's reasonably taunt bait team.
Yeah, kinda.
Like, you probably would want to run taunt against Necrozma, Klefki, Snorlax, Manaphy.
Yeah, we're back to a team with spikes, though. I'm happy about that.
It covers a lot within 10 mons at least. I mean, it's a very expensive upper half or
Yeah,
upper.
that it does. Although
What is that? 8?
Vikavolt is a value breaker at 5, honestly.
Oh,
Super strong.
do I know? Vikavolt, man, great pick. Shoutouts to Red.
Yep, shoutouts to Red. And as far as speed goes, though, it's kind of just got Terrakion, Tornadus, and like Scarf Hydreigon. That's kind of it. Shit,
You're not
Scarf
really
Hydreigon might come a lot. Like, it already comes a lot. Don't get me wrong, but like it might really have to come a lot because it and Terrakion are like the only good Scarfers on this team.
Yep. I agree. I mean, it's not lacking pivot wise. It's not lacking defensively necessarily. Like, there's some good defensive options here.
Yeah.
Good setup.
A lot of stuff does fall onto Amoonguss, though, which is good in a sense. Like, Amoonguss can definitely handle a lot, but slows down the momentum of a team that has such powerful breakers like this. That's at least what I've noticed when I've used Amoonguss. It is a big momentum drain. It takes a lot of hits, and I almost somewhat backtrack that statement because you can switch in Tornadus on a lot of stuff and regain momentum by you turning out. So I do like that. I do like this team overall.
It's lacking, like, you're running rocks on Terrakion a lot to me, or you're just not running rocks at all.
That's true. Necrozma and Terrakion are the only rockers. Oh, and Marowak.
And Marowak, but like, Marowak, is that really coming? I don't know. I know D pretty well, and I know how he likes building like weird teams.
So Marowak in my mind, in fact, come.
They work for him, but I would never build a team that way like he does. So I have faith that he can use this team well. It just sort of doesn't look amazing on paper.
It doesn't look terrible, though. It's got some good mons. It's just going to have to be played kind of smart because there's not a... never mind. Hold on.
I think late... Yeah. Is that a round 7 Manaphy? Like, that's pretty good value.
That's true. I forgot that even got drafted. I thought it went undrafted, actually.
So there's a lot of... I don't know. This team has a ton of setup options.
It's very true, and that, that is supported pretty well by Klefki.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the team.
Yeah, I do too. It's definitely weird, but it's got good tools.
It does. We'll see how it does.
Ooh, here's one that I was wanting to talk about.
Dr. The Dougie. Oh, baby. We talked about this a lot.
Okay, so, Dr. Slacking, I know you are new to draft. Relatively speaking. There are round 1 picks, and there is Doug Trio. Please note that they are not the same thing. Don't draft round 1 Doug Trio. Okay, so that meme aside, this is a really interesting team. Also, I know that's completely a cover-all blanket statement if I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But defensively, it's got a lot of options. Rotom Wash, Mandibuzz, Bronzong, Sarina as the main core, and then some bulky mons kind of surrounding it. I do like the momentum that a lot of his mons can generate. Rotom Wash and Mandibuzz being able to pivot in on a lot of stuff and pivot out. Mega Beedrill being there to pivot. Sarina. Mons like Doug Trio and like Porygon Z, and even to an extent like Gardevoir like those free switch ins, and so I'm definitely a fan of that. Um, so good defensively and great pivoting, but he doesn't really have hardly any physical offense besides Mega Beedrill, like, and then like mons that are harder to actually use physically offensively, like Doug Trio and Golisopod, and there's a Kecleon there for some reason. So what were you thinking?
We're back to having a ton of hazards, which I like. There's T-spikes, spikes, and rocks like spread out throughout the team, which seems good to me. Some ground immunities, not that the team was necessarily weak to ground at all, but I don't see a fire type, although fire types aren't necessarily the most needed thing. Might be nice to have a fire type over double bug, especially considering Glyspod sort of doubles up on types. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Glyspod fan. That mon is like really good and
Where's the
completely
T-spikes you were talking about?
Mega B.
Oh, duh. Yeah, forgot about that.
Keldeo.
Glyspod's got spikes, right?
Yep. And then rocks in Dougie, Bronzong, and Kecleon.
And yeah, I feel like his defensive core is really sturdy, and I feel like unlike what we were talking about earlier with Jacob's team, this defensive core generates momentum and isn't forced to stay in versus stuff, so that is pretty good.
Yeah, I like the positives to this team. Keldeo, PZ are like really underrated mons in my opinion.
Oh, Keldeo is amazing. I love Keldeo.
I like it overall. It's sort of one of the ones that stand out where nothing needs prep necessarily, right? Like it's not I don't know what a good example. It's not a Zygarde 50 team where you're slapping ice coverage onto everything. It's not a I don't know what else I'm trying to think
I know
of
what
here
you're getting at. It doesn't have any really centralizing threat. Like, I need to address this mon.
Yeah, it's sort of just like you can maybe put a blanket defensive check and it'll check Beedrill Doug Trio by itself.
Yeah, I mean, and while I do like the core of, Mega Beedrill being walled by steel types and Doug Trio trapping them, this team doesn't have any physical breaking power. I mean, Beedrill is not a breaker. It's a cleaner, it's a revenge killer, it's a good mon, but it's not a breaker.
It has the toolkit to be a breaker, but it doesn't function that way, for sure.
Oh, definitely, because it can't, set up or anything, because it doesn't have...
It gets Sword Stance, but it doesn't have the bulk.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It can physically set up, but it has literally a negative defense stat, so...
I'd love to see...
If you think about attacking it, it will probably die.
I'd love to see a Felstinger set completely prove us wrong.
That is true. Again, we would like to be proven wrong on all of these. But I don't know. It'll be an interesting team, honestly.
I like the sneaky Wish Pass thrown in there with Gardevoir.
Yeah, and Kecleon's a weird mon I've actually seen used before. Apparently the Assault Vest set can eat up a ton of hits.
It's got a really good base... let me look that up. Its base Spadef stat is actually really solid.
It's like 120.
It's 120. Yeah, that's
with triple priority, I believe.
Yeah, it's Sucker, Sneak, and Fake Out. I think that's what it...
So. For some reason, I thought it got Mach Punch or something. I don't know why I thought that.
It gets really good coverage. I mean, it gets recovered.
And Protean. Can't forget about that.
Too. That's true. Protean plus all of this coverage is pretty insane. I mean, Drain Punch is nasty. It's a little bit slow, but it's got decent stats to back it up for a normal
Bronzong is a Trick Room setter.
There you go.
And Gardevoir.
There's a Trick Room option. Trick Room Golisopod doesn't sound that bad to me, actually.
I mean, it kind of does to me because it's a Golisopod, but I know there are people that love that.
Oh, Golisopod's amazing. 125 base attack.
And the worst ability in the game. Okay, not that far, but it's not a good one. We will have this argument another day.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after the video because I have a lot of opinions about.
Okay, 5 more teams left to go, and we are at
Scrappy 10, the horse himself. Scrappy, if you're watching, fuck off, horse. There we go.
Okay then. So I do like this team, actually. It's got a lot of mons I like on it. A ton of pivoting. Victini, Zapdos, Alolan Persian, Mesprit, I guess kind of Yanmega. Not that it's really going to pivot, but it has it.
Mm-hmm.
And,
This is a very scrappy team. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, he drafts Donphan every single time if he can get it.
It's a consistent mon. I certainly like it.
This team looks like cancer to break to me. Like, I don't know how easy it's going to be to break Zapdos, Pex, and Miltank, but it's not going to be easy.
My guess for that would be a strong electric type, but Donphan's sitting there, so you're going to have to figure out a way to get rid of Donphan. And Mega Altaria, so never mind. Yes, this team is hard to break.
Yeah. It's got the offense there. You know, the Victini Kartana sitting there waiting to do stuff. Clean, maybe. Victini more of a breaker, Kartana more of a cleaner. Potentially Kartana breaking with an SD set. Who knows? But Altaria is like a jack of all trades that has to pick one every game. I generally feel like Mega Altaria is what we were talking about earlier with Mega Blastoise, where you said it wants to run investment in like everything.
It wants Dragon Dance, Roost, Cotton Guard, Dual Stab, Heal Bell, all in the same set.
Yeah. I just get the feeling this team is like super fat, and it's just going to be hard to break. And we may see a lot of stall games.
And it's got support with that. It's not just fat. It's got a Cleric and Miltank. It's got Alolan Persian to pivot into stuff even better. It's got Hazard support with Toxapex. And if it needs speed, it does have a speed boost Yanmega sitting there. So
I can get down with this team a lot. I mean, I think Healing Wish Tech on the Mesprit is kind of cool for things like Victini if they get weakened. Bring it back in, get more breaking.
This team doesn't really like rocks, though.
No, it doesn't. And it's only... Well, it's got reliable rockers in the two that it has. 3. Oh my god, 3. Oh, Mesprit has rocks. Jeez.
Yeah, but it doesn't... It's not absolutely allergic to rocks, and it's definitely got the removal options. Mm-hmm. Good removal options, too. Zapdos, Kartana, Donphan, Mega Altaria, and... That's
Yanmega?
it. Yeah, it was Yanmega.
Kind of.
I didn't want to switch it down. It's got it. I like it.
Yep. Solid team, Scrappy. Just, I'm going to hate you for drafting it.
All right. Keep moving along. We're in the last quarter of it, and I want to say we're at like an hour already.
Oh, yeah.
Just under an hour. Okay. We're in the home stretch. So, Butters. This team is fast. At least at the top half, it is very fast. Mega Alakazam, Infernape, Crobat. And then that... So it drops...
Ambipom? Flygon?
Yeah, Crobat to Infernape, all the way to Flygon.
No, there's Ambipom. Ambipom after Crobat.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay.
Its upper speed is amazing, but like after base 100, what runs speed on this team? Nothing, unless the Bulu's running speed, which is, I mean, I feel like Speedy Bulu isn't nearly as good as Bulky Bulu.
Depends on the matchup, but yeah, overall, yes. Round 4 Steelix. Why? There were so many good Steel types left.
We see looking at it, Bronzong went round 5, so like why not just take Bronzong? Or Empoleon went round 5, arguably. Empoleon, I'm not sure. What else is there? I'm like searching for random Steel types that went.
Klefki, I mean, not the same. But I don't know. Either way, where am I looking at? There we are.
Registeel went round 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst Steel type in the world, but it's definitely more of a budget Steel type, not a round 4 Steel type.
Yeah. And I think he could have waited on it if it was going to be his plan for Steel anyways.
Yeah, and got another couple interesting, bulky mons, but not really a lot of recovery. I mean, Milotic obviously has recovery, and so does Bulu, but it doesn't always run it. But then, Alolan Muck, Electros, Hitmonchan, I guess. I do like Electros, but I don't know. There's not a lot of stuff to pivot into. I guess get Infernape in there more often and Mega Alakazam. I think that's about it, though. This team doesn't have a lot of offense either. Not a ton of it.
I get the feeling that it's relying on Bulu a lot as a breaker, and it's got a lot of good cleaners.
If you can get it to that point. And I think this team would be fine if it had more hazards to get things to that point, but what is its hazard game?
It's Infernape Steelix. That's it.
And especially because we just mentioned Infernape really needs to be offensive because this team doesn't have the offense. You've got Steelix coming every week.
All right, then.
Yeah, that's... Oh, God. His removal game isn't particularly strong, but Crobat at least is a really good defogger, so, that works, I guess.
Yeah, you're looking at, that, Flygon and
Hitmonchan, too. Hitmonchan is the worst Hitmon, unfortunately. It's too stuck in the middle. It's not quite bulky enough. It's not quite strong enough. I love Hitmonchan personally, but it's just... It wants more of something.
I'm not sure I like the Bulu Flygon synergy either.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of that either. This team, I guess it likes grassy terrain, with Infernape, Alolan Muck, and Steelix taking that. But as we mentioned, because it's so hard to chip the opponent's team down with this team, you don't want to give them any more recovery than they already have. So I almost feel like even though this team is going to lean on Bulu to break, Bulu is also going to undo a lot of its work as far as chipping Mons. If he plays it defensively and he just, lets Mons, just stay in there. I don't know. It definitely has tools for success, but it needs to be played in a really specific way that he's kind of making it hard on himself.
I do like Megazam plus Muck a lot.
Yes, I do. I definitely like that. And we are kind of ignoring Megazam as a breaker because it's got, base 175 special attack?
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. But it's kind of the only special attacker on the team that's actually going to be an attacker.
Besides running, special Infernape or special Crobat,
I mean, Electros is one of his Z users, apparently.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. The Z Electros. You were so excited about that.
I love me some Electros. My first 2 drafts ever in Draft League had 3 Mons on them. One of them was Electros, and the other 2 were Scolipede and Mega Medicham. Loved that core. I would still draft it again. But moving on from that, Z Electros is GOAT. This team is amazing. Moving on.
Chew.
Okay, Chew. Zygarde
Clef.
Awesome.
I want to throw up. Clef is broken and will get up rocks every time.
Yep. Every time. And if it, for some reason, does not get up rocks, you've also got Empoleon, and that's it. So never mind. It's a good thing that Clef is broken and will always get them up.
Oh, neat little Sun Squad going on here.
Yeah, a random Golduck sitting down there.
Yeah, he said that was for Cloud9, but
you're the one setting up the Sun.
Yeah, if he didn't take Golduck and scrapped Victory Bell, he could have afforded Venusaur, which is just the better Sunsweeper.
I guess he was giving himself somewhat more of a fire resist, but I don't know. Ninetales takes that on pretty well.
That's a good point. Well, Ninetales is relatively frail physically.
Yeah, but Golduck isn't bulky. In theory, it works. It's a water type that ignores the effect of the sun until you realize it's a Golduck.
Yeah, actually, Golduck is fairly average all the way around, it looks like.
Yeah, that said, Spikes plus Sun is pretty powerful. And then you might try to wear this team down with status or something like that. But first off, this team does not care about status because Clef and Conkeldurr.
Yeah, and Masharna sitting there too. I mean, I'm pretty sure Masharna gets. Okay, you know what? I might have been talking out of my ass here, but I'm pretty sure Masharna gets Heal Bell.
I want to say it
Yes, it
does.
does. Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Yep.
But some good setup threats with Zygarde. I still think Zygarde is somewhat underappreciated. Honestly, I think it's a top 5 mon in format. Um, and Clef is one of the best round 2 picks you can get. Um, then we're also forgetting Thundy Eye is sitting there being, kind of fast and kind of strong.
Yeah, it's doing some stuff. I know D got sniped on the Thundy, so definitely a good pickup by Chew there. It's good momentum, right? Or is it just Thunderous?
Wait.
Yep.
Baton pass on Musharna, I guess,
I
but
guess.
it's not the worst, but it definitely has room for improvement.
Yeah, I don't
And
hate this
for
team.
a
I mean,
team, for a Sun team that has this many rocks weaknesses, the only
it's nice to have a
removal
spinner.
is Thunder. Okay,
Hitmontop.
Empoleon. I forgot about that, but still, Thunderous,
Hit,
Empoleon, and Hitmontop.
Hitmontop. Yeah,
Two of which are kind of subpar, honestly. Empoleon's good.
definitely. It definitely could be better, but it might be a nice niche to pick up some wins here.
Yeah, and I do like weather though, so I think the Sun squad is going to be fun. Anything else?
Nope. Actually, maybe I do have a point. I've used a Sun team with Thundy, Mega Houndoom, Ninetales, and Victory Bell on it. It's interesting, to say the least. It could probably use something else to support that, like maybe another Sunsweeper thrown in there. That's maybe better than Victory Bell, but like I definitely would like this team a lot more if it had Venusaur on it instead of Victory Bell.
Definitely. Yeah, because Venusaur actually has the bulk to switch in on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right,
Yep.
I'm good if you want to move on.
Sure. Let's go to Carney.
Yep. And so I guess we should add with Carney that there should not be a Fione there at the bottom. Should be a Vaporeon. He was memeing, and people thought he was serious, so they gave him Fione. And so he's actually got Vaporeon down there, unfortunately. Would have loved to see the Fione.
If Fione came to a match at all, oh my god.
Yeah, so you did mention this earlier. He has got triple intimidate, although only one of them is an actual mon. So I don't know. That's there.
Didn't we say? Oh, is it only triple? Yeah.
You say only triple.
Uh, one of my friends drafted a quadruple intimidate team last week.
Well, goddamn.
So I have a higher standard now.
Yeah. I really like Zeraora, though. I think round 2 is just about right for it. It doesn't really have setup, but it's still, its mixed breaking potential is awesome, and it gets in super easily with Mega Scizor, and those two just form a really nice momentum core for, along with Mienshao, that a lot of mons here appreciate, like Mamoswine.
I would have actually liked to see Z on the Zeraora. I know it's on the Salamence, but bulk up Z Zeraora is like a huge threat just because of the coverage options it gets to spam Z moves with. Like Z Outrage at +1 and kind of just decimates a lot of stuff that isn't a fairy. Z Bounce can definitely deal with the grass types that would normally wall it, so it's got some neat tech options that
I agree with that, but then Mence becomes absolutely not worth 15 points if it's not Z.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Mence fan in the world either. So
yeah, it's not a good mon. It's kind of a noob trap, honestly. As far as it's got all these tools, but it's actually, I think, the best example of what we were talking about earlier. How it wants all of its tools in the same set.
Yeah,
I think it's the biggest offender of any of them that we were talking about.
Yeah, you need a bunch of coverage options. You might want Roost on the set just because of kind of how frail it is. You kind of want a Yachi Berry sitting on the set so you don't just die to an ice move, but you also
got
want
to
the Z to
actually
get a
kill
nuke.
what's in front of you, so you need a Z move.
And then abilities-wise, you're like, oh, I want Moxie to get the attack boost, but you need Intimidate to be able to set up on physical attackers, so it's sort of, a double-edged sword for sure. You're wanting so much with that, and you're left with so little.
I don't even know what in the hell to say about the bottom half of this draft, though. He went and he memed the bottom half of this draft to death.
I think we can kind of ignore everything except for the Blissey and say that
To be
Vic
fair,
drafted this team.
not saying it's good, but I really like Chatot.
It's
got stab boom burst, so it can't be that bad.
yeah, chatter spam. So,
oh yeah, that's also busted.
Confusion hacks is fun. Totally fair to deal with, right? I mean, I could. If this team didn't have Aromatisse and had Florges on it instead, I feel like it would be a little bit better.
Yeah, and I feel like the hazard removal is actually not bad. Scizor, Mence, Delmise. Delmise is another mon though you have to play smart with, or else it's just really mediocre.
Yeah, I do think it's improved since it got synthesis.
Yeah, that is very true. It added a whole different element to it. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, this is still a team that has a Stantler, a Torracat, and a Chatot on it. So I don't know, man. Good luck, Carney.
Yeah, that's about it.
He's got some threats though, but moving on, saving the best for last.
Here we go. Here's you.
Here is me.
That's a
I guess,
team.
What do you think of my team? You start off.
Okay, so lots of threats. We'll say that off the bat right here. There's triple 4x weaknesses that kind of cover each other. So that's pretty neat, actually, because, obviously the steel weakness from Diancie gets covered by Magneton. The ice weakness from Landorus gets covered by Magneton. The ground weakness from Magneton gets covered by Landorus. So they sort of, help each other out there. I know we had a lengthy discussion in Red yesterday where Zeden talked a lot about Starmie and Haxorus and how mediocre he thought they were. I think they function on the team really well. I think Diancie plus Landorus is an amazing breaking core.
Should never have made it to me.
You have Spike Stack on this team too. That seems really strong to me.
But, yeah, and the team has defensive issues. I acknowledge that. It's not a perfect team, but I've got enough bulk and just enough offense, honestly, where I'm playing this as bulky offense. My games are not going to last super long, so I just need to hold out just long enough. And I think the thing about Starmie and Haxorus is, well, I don't really know his thing about Haxorus, but with Starmie, I know Zeden likes to play a lot more bulky than I do. Like, he dropped Starmie for Milotic in NPL that he was, ranting about Starmie from, and I'm fine with a more offensive version of it. I don't like playing nearly as bulky as Zeden does, and I kind of built this team basically around that. It's got a couple of bulky mons, not necessarily a ton of recovery, but bulky, pivoting, covering weaknesses enough so I can just switch into stuff. And yeah, mostly I didn't really have a first round pick planned exactly. I kind of just was going to take the best thing available to me, and then I saw Mega Diancie and Lando I both made it to me for some reason. I was like, bet, that's broken. I'll take it.
Because Dougie went round 1.
Yeah, so I take back what I'm saying. Dr. Slacking, if you're ahead of me in the draft, yes, it is a round 1 pick. Okay, yeah, and having double spikes is kind of weird, but I feel like Roserade and Skarmory definitely perform other things than just that, so it wasn't me being that concerned about spikes. They both happen to fit, and you know what? Now I'm going to be able to really consistently get spikes up.
Yep, seems like it's a good game plan. I mean, obviously you're trying to keep hazards off of your side of the field, but you've got Spin sitting there for that, as well as Magic Bounce in Mega Diancie. So it's not like people are just going to be setting up rocks and being like, oh, we'll call it a day.
And I'm not even really weak to rocks. I've just got Incineroar and I forget, Piloswine weak to rocks? No, Ground Resist rocks.
Neutral, so. Yeah. So just Incineroar.
Yeah, I really like this. I think I'm going to be able to just run over some teams. My biggest flaw that I ran into looking at stuff and what someone said to me, the team, it's not slow. Overall, on average, it's actually pretty fast, but it doesn't have that one, really fast mon. It tops out at, Starmie at base 115. Which
is fine.
It is fine, but I think that's all it is. It's fine. It's not great, It could use something super fast to, always have the speed advantage, but, I'm definitely a fan of the team. Honestly, it's not perfect. You guys should check out my draft analysis for that. The link will be in the description, depending on which one I upload first. I may just be talking out of my ass right now, but okay. Plug aside, I like the team. Any other like nitpicks or anything?
I mean, Gotharita, like really, but you had 1 point to
I had one
spend,
point.
so why
Honestly,
not?
it was one of the most usable 1 point mons, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that 1 point wasn't as horrible as I was initially thinking. I was like, going into the draft, I was like, oh, all right, well, I'll take a 1 point mon just to meme it up. But there's a lot of usable things down there. I actually think between the two of us, we got the two best 1 point mons sitting there.
What was yours again?
Munchlax.
Oh yeah, those are definitely two of the best. Quilladin is also there, which is draftable.
Yeah, most of these teams had spike support in other things, anyways.
I'm surprised they had that much spikes when I hoarded two of the best spikers.
Yeah, you did. You did. But, Greninja. My team doesn't actually have real spikes, it's only OT spikes, so I'm not one to talk necessarily. Greninja for one team, Fortress sitting on one of the teams, Omastar, Ferrothorn. I mean, it's sort of a variety here. Golisopod.
Yep, lots and lots of
Buffy.
spikes. I love it.
I didn't actually realize how common spikes were.
Yeah, I also think it's kind of just because of like Z moves, needing just a little bit of chip. I feel like all the spikes users have gotten like that much more viable.
It's definitely becoming more meta, I think, these days,
Yeah.
for sure.
But holy Jesus, we are at an hour and 15 minutes.
Yikes.
Okay, I think we should definitely wrap this up. You got anything else to say?
No, that's it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, yeah, guys, go check out his channel, and we're gonna get on out of here. If you guys like what the Oakland A's Elves or the Ladner Lanterns are doing, make sure you like, subscribe, share, do what you do with the YouTube videos. I'm gonna get on out of here and see you guys later.